Okay. So I just want to take us through the slides for learning unit 3. There are actually not that many, so we should be done quite shortly. And then you guys can go on to do what you do with the rest of the day. Okay. Right. So let's get into it. Okay. So learning unit 3 is cost, volume, profit analysis. And so again, this is not brand new to us. We went through this in 2A, okay? So it's just probably going to be one or two concepts that are brand new, and maybe the focus will be slightly different from what we had in 2A. But yeah, you'll find a lot of it is the same. And as we know, when it comes to cost volume profit analysis, all right, business managers is used by business managers in order to make better business decisions, because we're analyzing, all right, the effects of certain changes. If we reduce our price, right, what's going to happen with our profit, right? What's going to happen with our revenue? Are we going to sell more because there's greater demand? Okay, so you could almost say that cost, volume, profit analysis and sensitivity analysis is very, very close, all right? Almost the same thing, you could say, in many ways, okay? Sometimes people use those terms interchangeably. They might be thinking of cost, volume, profit analysis, but they're using the word sensitivity analysis, okay? Yeah, so just be mindful of that, all right? Then CVP analyzes the effect on profits and costs to changes in variable costs, fixed costs, selling price, volume, product mix. We never spoke on product mix in 2A, okay? It also enables managers to plan and cope with changes, okay? Right. Then underlying assumptions, this is more of a recap. It exhibits a linear behavior throughout a given activity range, okay? Costs can be accurately classified as either fixed or variable, all right? If we are unable to classify that costs are fixed or variable, we can't do this. We can't actually do our CVP analysis, okay? So that's an assumption that must hold, okay? Then costs are affected by changes in activity levels, okay? We know the more we produce, the higher our costs will be because we have more variable costs. All units produced are sold. Another assumption that is somewhat unrealistic, because just because we produced it doesn't mean it's going to sell in reality, isn't it? Okay, when company sells more than one product type, the sales mix remains constant. Another assumption that in reality might not be realistic, okay? But those are the assumptions that we obviously make when it comes to cost, volume, profit analysis. Now, if you'll turn with me in your textbooks to, in my book, it's page 80, and I think this is the 2022 edition. I think it should be the same in yours. They've got a graph there. Economist CVP. We never had this in 2A as well, okay? And you'll see that we also have an accountant CVP graph. That CVP graph is what we played around with in 2A, okay? So looking at this one, okay, and here on the slides it says total revenue line is curvilinear. Therefore, company can only sell increasing volumes if it reduces its selling price per unit. The revenue line does not increase proportionally with output. If you look at the accounting CVP graph, you see that it does increase proportionately with output, okay? Then it goes on to say, but rises less steeply and begins to decline. Therefore, adverse effect of reducing the selling price outweighs the benefit of increased sales. All right, right. So you can see there from A to B, your costs are still greater than your revenue. Okay, that's what they mean by initially your reducing the price does not outweigh, the adverse effect. In other words, the negative impact of reducing your selling price does not outweigh the increase in volume that you would have that you will realize by selling more products as a result of reducing your cost. Okay, so that's what they're talking about there. From A to B, we go then to B and C. B to C, you can see now your revenue is now starting to be more than your costs. Okay, and the greater the gap between the lines, the higher your profits. Because obviously we know our profit is revenue minus your costs. Okay, so we want the biggest gap there. And this other graph has 2 points where you can see the cost and the revenue line cross. When cost and revenue line cross those points, what do we refer to those specific points? Break even. Okay, in other words, where our revenue is equal to our cost. Okay, so when it comes to the economic CVP graph, we have 2 break-even points. If you look at the accountant one, you only have 1. Okay, you only have 1. All right. So if you're planning and you're utilizing the economist cost volume profit graph, you want to be before the second break-even point. All right, and after the first break-even point, because remember we said therein lies your greatest profit, okay, where the gap is greatest between those 2 lines. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is your, and maybe let's just read C to D what they're saying. Looking at the points on the graph C to D, costs rise at an increasing rate owing to the complex production schedules, bottlenecks, and production beyond normal capacity. All right, and we already highlighted that there are 2 break-even points at B and C. Profit is at maximum where the distance between the cost and revenue line is the largest, that we have highlighted. So we're happy with that. And whilst we were going through the economist CVP graph, we were also going through the actual accountant one as well. But you guys can obviously read through that. The slides are there. Then here, very important, do know these because they can come in a test. Be able to interpret both graphs. They can come in your test 2 as well. As you know, test 2 is 3 to 5. I just always say 1 to 5 because you never know. You might just catch a surprise. And we don't want to blame the lecturer, isn't it? Yes. So here on this slide, we have our basic equation. Okay, net profit is your selling price times the number of units, that's what the X is, minus your fixed cost, which is A, plus your variable cost times the number of units that we've produced. Okay, this is nothing new. This is nothing new. We know this. Okay, break-even analysis, we know what this is. This is the point where revenue is equal to cost. Okay, we're not making a profit and we're not making a loss. Nothing brand new there. We know how to calculate this, whether it's break even in units or break even in sales. Okay, we know how to do the things that need to be done over there. So you guys can go through the example there in your own time. Then we spoke to margin of safety last semester as well. Okay, I think here there's more emphasis on margin of safety in 2B than there was in 2A. But as the slide says, it indicates the extent to which sales can decrease before a loss will be incurred and can be expressed as a percentage of budgeted sales volume. Okay, so it just lets us know how safe are we? How much can our sales drop before we're going to start realizing a loss? Okay, so again, margin of safety, budgeted sales volume, minus your break-even sales volume. Alrighty, alrighty. Almost done. Okay. Now, like I said, in this learning unit, multi-product break-even analysis. Okay. So sales mix refers to the proportion in which the company's products are sold. Okay. In other words, we have different products that we are selling. All right. But obviously, in having different products, or even, well, here we're focusing on manufacturing company. Okay. But obviously, you can also consider the same for a service orientated business. Okay. If we are offering different services or different products, okay, we're obviously not selling the products within the same amount or same volumes. Okay? Right. Yes. Okay? Then it just goes on to say most companies sell more than one product which exhibit different levels of profitability. Because obviously there's different margins on the different products. Okay? Okay. As long as it wasn't that birthday song again. It's okay. No. Okay. All right. Overall, company profits will depend on the company's sales mix. Okay. Any company wants to sell loads of units of the products that have the highest margin. Does that make sense? Because obviously these are cheap for us to produce, but at the same time we get a lot of profit for them. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So company profits will decrease if there is a shift in sales from high margin to low margin items. Okay. So in other words, the things that are more expensive for us to produce and which we don't sell at a high price, if we shift from the stuff with the high margin to the low margin, obviously that's going to decrease our profit. Makes sense, né? Logically, right? Then it goes on to say, conversely, profits will increase if there is a shift in sales from low to high margin items, which is what we have just been saying. Okay. And here they're saying important, the objective of multi-product break-even analysis is to identify the sales mix that will achieve the greatest profit. So we're not necessarily looking at the break-even point when we're looking at our product mix. Our primary objective, you'll see as we do exercises, is what product mix. In other words, how much should we sell of the different products to maximize our profit? Right? That is our focus when we are looking at our product mix. And we're talking of sensitivity analysis, which we spoke a little bit to at the beginning of the slides. All right, here we're obviously playing around with things like your selling price, your volume, your variable or fixed costs, all right, and seeing how those changes will impact on our break-even or profitability. Okay, that's all that it is. If we change this, how's it going to affect our bottom line? If we change this, are we going to reach our break-even sooner? etc, etc. All right, and then we have our formulas over there, which you also have on the formula sheet, which I showed you earlier. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your learning unit 3 from a theoretical standpoint. From a theoretical standpoint. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of your lecture for today. How are you doing? Good, good. All right. Okay.
He just came to 5 minutes.